Okay, Panzer J back with turn number 8 in Operation Live and Let Die, January 1940. Officially turn 8.1. Germany is going to war. So they plan on attacking Poland, Belgium, the Netherlands, and France this turn. Going to be a little bit different than my preview video that I did yesterday. Started thinking about what a tough nut to crack Paris is going to be. That huge stack of 15 infantry, all defending at sixes on the first round. Plus, my worthy opponents had pointed out to me that the fortress not only covers land unit or infantry class units, but that AA gun and artillery also are covered as well. So the AA on the first round would have 3 rolls at a 5, and then the fortress 2 artillery strikes and his 1 regular artillery would all strike at a 5. So I really don't think that attacking Paris head on is going to be the way to go. So instead, I've modified and I'm going to go ahead and try to surround Paris instead. That is the second way in which Paris can fall, or the French can be defeated, is by surrounding Paris. So I need to take all of the surrounding French territories. Okay. So that is the way I'm going to go. I'll talk a little bit about exactly what moves I'm going to make here in a minute. But Germany has their tech rolls to start. So we have 5 tech rolls, and we're at stage 3 for 2 techs, long-range aircraft, advanced mechanized and wartime economy. Those are the 2 that we're at stage 3 of, advanced mechs and wartime economy. And then we're at stage 2 for long-range aircraft, advanced artillery, and improved factories. So those are going to be the 5 that we go for. Okay, so let's come over here and do our tech rolls. All of these require a 7 or higher. So in descending order, we'll go with advanced artillery, and we get a 10. So we do move up to stage 3 there. Then we need advanced mechs. And this is already at stage 3 right now, so this is a big one to try to finish that technology. And we get a 5, so of course we don't hit there. Then we're going to go for long-range aircraft, again 7 or higher, and we get a 2, so that doesn't cut it. Wartime economy, here's another big one at stage 3 right now, and that went flying. And we get a 2, so nothing there. And then finally, improved factories at 7 or higher, a 3. So just 1. So we go up just 1 stage. So we hit on 1 of 5. So we continue our absolutely horrible, advanced mechs was also a 3 from earlier. So we continue our absolutely horrible die rolls. So here on at the end of January 40 for Germany, they're at stage 3 for 3 techs, advanced artillery, advanced mechs, and wartime economy. Okay. So then let's go on to Germany's purchases. They have a total of $24 to spend, and they're going to spend 23 of it. So they save a buck, and they're going to buy a Ju-52 air transport for 8, 2 paratroopers for 6, that's 14, and then 3 cavalry for 9, that's $23. Okay, so then let's go ahead. Let me grab my die real quick that I dropped on the floor. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and explain our combat moves here on the first impulse. So Germany, this is the turn they're going to use the blitzkrieg attack. So they get to engage in, declare combat, engage in the combat, non-combat moves, and then on the second impulse, they can again engage in combat. And any units that can blitz on both the first and the second impulse. Also, if Paris does fall, or France surrenders, I should say, the Germans are going to initiate the Vichy rule and set up the Vichy government. So on the first impulse, all the battles that are going to take place are these two subs in C Zone 13 are going to come out, go 1, 2, 3, 4 down to C Zone 22 and go ahead and convoy the British, both subs in that one convoy lane. Then over here in C Zone 3, we're going to have a coastal defense ship, a coastal sub, and a torpedo boat destroyer taking on the Polish torpedo boat destroyer. Then into West Poland, we're going to take this stack of infantry, which is either 6 or 7. I'll count them in a minute here when we put them on the battle board, along with the 2 artillery and a medium bomber from Bavaria and a fighter from West Germany are all going to go into West Poland. Now, I forgot to add the 4th Polish infantry because of the reinforcements here on the January 40 turn. But just so you know, that's 4 infantry in West Poland and a cavalry. Then into this southern Polish territory, we're coming in with 6 regular infantry and a mountain infantry. Then in the west, we are coming into Belgium with 12 medium armor, 8 self-propelled artillery, 4 cavalry, 3 of which can reach from Berlin and the others in West Germany, 1 infantry, and that's it. So all of that will be going into Belgium, and then the 12 medium armor and the 8 self-propelled artillery can then blitz into Picardy. Okay, so that is going to be the first impulse combat. After non-combat moves for the second impulse combat, all the units that survived in West Poland and the southern Polish territory are going to go into Warsaw. And then I'm going to split up the medium armor and the self-propelled artillery. 7 medium armor and 6 self-propelled artillery are going to go into Normandy. And then, if successful, blitz into Aquitaine. And that is the territory that Fighting Irish is going to go ahead and scramble his fighter into. The other 5 medium armor and 2 self-propelled artillery are going to go from Picardy into Alsace-Lorraine, as well as the 4 cavalry, if all 4 survive the battle in Belgium. Okay, they can go 1, 2 into Alsace-Lorraine as well. And since I'm attacking the Maginot Line from Picardy instead of head-on, the Maginot Line loses its effectiveness. And then the medium armor and the self-propelled artillery that survive Alsace-Lorraine are then going to blitz into southern France. So that is, in a nutshell, and also on the second impulse, I'm going to go into the Netherlands. So 3 light armor, 2 artillery, towed artillery, 2 infantry, and a couple of fighters and a Stuka are going, all from West Germany, are going to go into the Netherlands. Okay, so that is, in a nutshell, the combat for this German turn. So I'm going to go ahead and use this 12-sided die to keep track of the territories hopefully Germany accumulates here, just so I don't have to keep going back and forth and moving the camera on the IPP chart each time Germany takes a territory. So let's go ahead and start with the submarines. So these 2 subs are going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and land in C Zone 22, and they both can move 4 because of the major naval facility they're leaving from. Now, I forgot my rule book at work, so I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that as far as convoy rating goes, I roll a die for Germany. Any modifiers are added onto the die roll. I then roll a die for Britain, and then the difference between the two, if my roll is higher, he loses in IPPs. Now, I should have a +2 for the subs on my die roll, and he doesn't have any modifiers. He has no aircraft on maritime air patrol, and he doesn't have anti-submarine warfare. So I believe it's just me with a +2. So let's go ahead with the first, and he can lose a maximum of 5 IPP in this convoy line. So let's go ahead and roll for the first sub, a 6 plus the 2, so that's 8. So my roll is an 8. His is a 1. So that's plus 7. He only can lose 5, so I don't even need to roll for the second sub. So Fighting Irish should have to surrender 5 IPPs to the bank. Now, this battle over here will be fairly easy. We got a torpedo boat destroyer, which defends at a 2. Okay. And then I've got a coastal defense ship, which defends at a 6. A torpedo boat destroyer, or attacks at a 6, I'm sorry. A torpedo boat destroyer that attacks at a 2. And a coastal sub, which attacks at a 2 with first strike. The transport is just staying in that sea zone. So let's go ahead. I need a 2 or less for my first strike's coastal sub, and I get a 5, so that will not work. I then have a 6 or less for the coastal defense ship, and we get a 2. So why couldn't I roll that the first time? Okay, so the torpedo boat destroyer is dead, but it gets to roll in return a 2 or less and a 6. So I'm going to go ahead and move all the casualties in this turn over here into the Pacific, and then clean it up afterwards. So let's go ahead and put our torpedo boat destroyer, our coastal sub, and our coastal defense ship back on the board. I wish all battles this turn were that easy. Okay, so now we are going to go into West Poland. So let's take this stack of infantry from East Germany, and let's go ahead and count how many guys we got here. We got 2, 4, 6, 7 infantry. Okay. We also have 2 towed artillery pieces, and they are attacking at a 3. And then I'm also bringing over a fighter from West Germany, and that can go 1, 2. That attacks at a 6. And then the medium bomber from Bavaria goes 1, 2, 3, and that attacks at a 7. Now, 2 of my artillery can pair with the 2 towed artillery, so let's move 2 of those guys up 1 space to 3s. Then defending West Poland, we have a cavalry, which is going to defend at a 2. And then we also have 3 infantry, but it's really, again, 4. I forgot to put on the 4th infantry this turn. So he actually, Fighting Irish, has 4 infantry at a 4, even though I've only got 3 on the board. So again, I have some first strike. I've got 2 artillery. So they are attacking at a 3 or a less. And we got a 2 and a 5, so 1 hit. So clearly Fighting Irish would lose the cavalry, which only defends at a 2. Okay, so he doesn't get the fire back. So now I've got to take out 4 infantry. I've got this medium bomber at a 7. And I rolled a 7, so there's 1 hit. A fighter is a 6. I need a 6 or less. A 2, so that's 2 hits. I've got 2 infantry that paired with the artillery for 3s. No hits. And then I've got another 5 infantry at 2s. So we've gotten 2 hits so far. And we get a 2, so 1 more hit. So 3 hits total, and he has 4 infantry defending. So let's go ahead and roll his 4 4s. And wow, he got 2 hits. So he's going to lose 3, but I'll only take 2 off because, again, he has a 4th infantry there. And I'm going to lose 2 of my infantry. So now we're on to round number 2. And we've got our medium bomber at a 7. And a 3 will hit. His lone infantry defending at a 4 gets a 9, no hit. So that battle is completed. Germany takes West Poland for a buck. So let's go ahead and put this die and a 1 to signify the $1 Germany's earned this turn. So then we're going to put all these units back on the board in West Poland. So that's 5 infantry survived. as well as 2 towed artillery pieces. And then the medium bomber and the fighter fly to East Germany there. Okay. Now we're going to take on this battle in the southern Polish territory. So we got this stack of infantry. 2, 4, 6. Okay. And 1 mountain infantry. And since there's no mountains or anything, he just attacks at a normal 2. And defending that territory is 2 Polish infantry. So put those on the board at 4. So we've got 3, 6, 7 rolls at a 2. So let's go ahead and get 7 die here. 3, 6, 7. Okay, so we're looking for 2 2s of these 7. And we get 2 1s. So there you go. So that's going to kill off his 2 infantry, which are going to defend at 4s. So we get 2 rolls at 4. And wow, he got 2 hits in return. So I'm going to go ahead and lose 2 of my regular infantry. So the Polish put up a valiant defense of, again, I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but that southern Polish territory. So then 4 regular infantry and 1 mountain infantry is left there. Now that completes the battles in the east on the first impulse. So now let's do the first impulse in the west. So we're going to go into Belgium first, and Belgium is defended by 4 infantry. So let's go ahead and put our 4 infantry on the board. So that's 4 4s for Fighting Irish. Now we are going into Belgium with 12 medium armor from West Germany. They are all 6s. 8 self-propelled artillery from West Germany. They are all first strike at 3. We are also bringing a lone infantry in from West Germany, a 2. Actually, that would go up to a 3 because it would pair with the self-propelled artillery. And then we are bringing in a cavalry from West Germany and 3 cavalry from Berlin. So that's 4 cavalry altogether at 3s. Okay. And that is it for the battle for Belgium. So I have 8 rolls at a 3 or less for my self-propelled artillery. So let's go ahead and get our 8 dies. So we're looking for 3 or less. And we get 1 hit. It's just a single 2 there. So Fighting Irish will lose 1 of his infantry to first strike. Now we move on to the regular combat. So we have 12 medium armor. So let's go ahead and roll the first 6. And we're looking for 6 or less. Okay, so we got 2 hits there on the first 5. So let's roll this other guy. He doesn't hit. So we got 2 hits for the first 6 tanks. And we need 1 more hit for on the next 6. And we got a couple 2. So that's it. So he now has 3 infantry at 4. And he gets 1 hit of a 3. So I'm going to go ahead and lose my lone infantry. So that takes Belgium off the map. Belgium is worth $2. So let's go ahead and move our die up to a 3 for German territory. And we're going to go ahead. I'm going to take 1 of these cavalry and chip him out. So that's 4 cavalry that survived. Those all go down in Belgium because they can't move. They're not able to blitz. So the 4 cavalry we're going to leave in Belgium. And then we're blitzing into Picardy here with the 12 medium armor and the 8 self-propelled artillery. No city, no mountains, no river. There shouldn't be any penalties. So he has a lone militia defending it at 2. Okay, so we're going to try to take him out with our artillery on the first strike. So 8 first strike artillery. And we got a bunch of hits. So that takes him out. Okay, so that is it for the battle for Picardy. Okay, so we've got our 12 medium armor and our 8 self-propelled artillery in Picardy. Picardy was worth $1, so Germany goes up another buck, so $4. Okay, and that ends the first round of combat. So now we're going to do non-combat moves. Okay, so really there's not much for non-combat. We're just going to go ahead and move these 3 ships from Sea Zone 13, which is a light cruiser, a destroyer, and a torpedo boat destroyer. They are going to move over 1 space to join this small fleet in Sea Zone number 3. Then the Fallschirmjäger in Bavaria is going to move back 1 to Berlin, and so is the air transport. Okay, so that's it for non-combat. Now on to actual combat. Let's go ahead and do, we can do the East first. So we are going into Warsaw. There are 2 infantry, okay, and it's a city. So the infantry would normally be 4s. They are now going to defend at a 5 because of the city. The cavalry is not considered infantry class. It's vehicle class. So that, I'm pretty sure, stays at a 2 for defense. And then he has a single fighter, which defends at a 6. Now, for my units, all of these infantry that are coming from the southern Polish territory do not have to cross a river. Okay, so they stay at their normal attack, which are all 2. So put down the mountain infantry and 2, 4 regular infantry. Then from West Poland, we have the 2 towed artillery pieces. Now, they do have to cross a river, but artillery is one of the units that don't suffer the river penalty. So they get to attack at a 3 still. All of these infantry, though, on the first round lose 1 because of the river crossing. So these guys, instead of 2s, we'll put them down to 1. So that's going to be 5 1s. We are also going to fly our fighter 1 2, as well as our medium bomber 1 2 into Warsaw. Okay, so that should be the battle. So we're going to go ahead with our first strike, 2 artillery. So that's 2 3s. And we got a 6 and a 7, so no hits there. Now, we both have fighters in the battle. So if either one of us hit with our aircraft on the first round, the fighters, the opponent has to lose air unit as the casualty on the first round. So I'm going to go ahead with my fighter at a 6 or less and get an 11, so he does not have to lose his fighter. The bomber at a 7 or less, that also misses. So we got 2 misses with our aircraft. We then have 3, 4, 5 rolls at a 2. Okay, so 5 rolls at a 2, and we get 1 hit. So he would clearly lose the cavalry. And then we have another 5 rolls at a 1. And we got 1 more hit. So he would clearly lose an infantry. So now for his defense rolls, his fighter, if it hits, I have to lose an aircraft. 6 or less. And he got a 6. So I am going to lose the bomber. Okay. So now he gets 2 infantry rolls at 4. And 2 hits. So we're going to lose 2 of our infantry. I'm going to take one of the guys itself and a chip. Okay. And then he gets a cavalry at a 2 or less. And he doesn't hit. So let's go ahead and take off his cavalry and his 1 infantry. So that's pretty sad. On the first round of combat, I suffered 3 losses to his 2. Not good. Okay, so now the air superiority rule isn't in effect anymore now that we're on to round 2. So we're going to go with the fighter here at 6 or less. And for the second turn, it misses. Now, all of these infantry are now past the river, so move them up. Also, 2 can pair with the artillery. I'm not sure if they could have on the first round since they had to cross the river, so that's why I didn't do it. But this turn, they should be able to now that they're in Warsaw. So 2 infantry can move up to 3s along with the 2 artillery. So that's 4 rolls of a 3. And we got 1 hit, so he'll lose his last infantry. And we now have 2, 4, 6 more rolls at 2. So let's go ahead and get 6 die. And we do not even get a single hit. So the battle for Warsaw is dragging on. Okay, so he gets a fighter at a 6 and gets another hit with a 1, and his infantry at a 4 doesn't hit. So I'm going to lose 1 more infantry, and his fighter is still alive. So the Polish Air Force is valiantly defying the Germans at this point. Okay, my fighter at a 6 for the 3rd turn in a row misses. I then have 4 rolls at 3, the 2 artillery and the 2 paired infantry. And all misses. So then we have 5 remaining infantry at 2s. And all misses. So if you can believe that this is dragging on. His fighter at a 6 or less misses. Okay, here we go, round 4. A fighter at 6 or less. 0 for 4 with the fighter. Man, the Luftwaffe needs to ground this pilot, like, immediately. Okay, so now 4 rolls at 3. Finally, we got a hit. So now the Polish fighter rolls a 9, no hits. So we'll take that fighter off. And then we're going to go ahead and move everything into Warsaw. I will change out this minor complex for a German one at the end of the turn. But just so you know, Germany has a minor complex in Warsaw. And Warsaw is worth $1. So Germany up to $5 there. And we'll go ahead and put our infantry on the board. So there is 5 regular infantry, a mountain infantry, and 2 towed artillery pieces in Warsaw itself. And I'll also put German roundels on all this stuff at the end of the turn as well. And then obviously the fighter has to fly back to a German territory, but we'll just leave him in Warsaw until the end of the turn there. Okay, so that concludes the fighting in Warsaw. Okay, so then in the West, we're going to go ahead and attack the Netherlands first. And there's 4 infantry in the Netherlands. Fighting Irish did a smart move there and reinforced the Netherlands because of Japan having attacked them the turn before. So we get 4 infantry at 4s for defense. And then for the attack, we have these 3 light armor going in. So they are going to attack at 4s. We also have these 2 infantry, and they are attacking at 3s because they can pair with the 2 artillery that are already there, or that are going in. So the 2 towed artillery pieces, and they have first strike at 3. Put those on the wrong side. And then we also have 3 planes going in, 2 fighters, and a tactical from West Germany. So the tactical and the 2 fighters. Okay, so he has no aircraft in the fight, so I don't have to worry about the air superiority. So let's go ahead and roll our first strike. 2 artilleries at 3. Okay, so let's see. and we got a 1, so 1 hit. So I'm going to go ahead and actually lose the Netherlands infantry. Britain is feeling a little selfish, and they want to save their men as long as possible. They're going to sacrifice the Netherlands infantry. Okay, so now we're on to the regular first round. We've got a tactical at a 7, and a 6 will hit. Then we got 2 fighters at 6s, and we got a 5 and a 10, so that's 1 more hit. So 2 hits total. And then we've got our 3 light armor at 4s, 1 hit. So that's 3 hits, and that's all we needed. We had 3 infantry left. So let's go ahead and roll 3 4s for the defense. And holy cow, they got 3 hits. That's insane. So I'm going to be forced to lose the 2 German infantry and 1 of the artillery. So that was another costly battle for Germany. So let's go ahead and place our 3 light armor in the Netherlands. So take $2 off of the British, and Germany goes up another $2. So there is going to be an artillery piece and 3 light armor, and then the planes obviously are going to have to fly back somewhere in Germany. I'm just going to set them on the board there. So Germany went up another $2. So they are up to $7 this turn. Okay. Now we're into France. So in Picardy is 12 medium armor and the 8 self-propelled artillery, which I've just pulled off to the side here. So going into Normandy, okay, is going to be 7 of the medium armor. So let's see what we got here. We got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 7 medium armor and 6 of the self-propelled artillery is all going into Normandy. Normandy is defended by a single infantry, but I do have to cross a river to get there. So if I can't take out this militia on the first round with my first strike artillery, then the tanks will be -1. So we've got 6 self-propelled artillery, all attacking at 3. Artillery does not suffer the river penalty. And we got 1 hit, and that's all we needed. So the militia is dead. So now I have to leave, and I forgot to mention, well, never mind. Scratch that. I thought I screwed up for a second, but I'm good. Okay, so I have to leave 1 ground unit in each territory, okay? So we are going to go ahead and leave 1 of these self-propelled artillery, which I'm going to make our self-propelled artillery sculpt when I get the chance. But just leave him. So now we are going on to the battle at Aquitaine, okay? And I still have 5 self-propelled artillery and the 7 medium armor. He has 4 regular infantry and a militia. Plus, this is the territory Fighting Irish wants to scramble his fighter. So put down the militia and the 4 infantry, and let's grab his fighter from Paris, okay? And that's what we have going into Aquitaine. So we're down to 5 self-propelled artillery. So that's 5 rolls at a 3. And we've got, wow, that was lucky, 3 hits. We got a 1, a 2, and a 3. So he is obviously going to lose his militia and 2 of his infantry to first strike. So he's down to 2 infantry and a fighter. I now have the 7 medium armor. So let's go ahead and grab 7 die. I need a 6 or less because even though there is a river prior to Aquitaine, it's on the other side of the Normandy border. So since I have Normandy, I shouldn't have to cross that river to get to Aquitaine. So we're going to go ahead and roll 7 sixes, and we get 2 hits. So he would lose his 2 remaining infantry. So now his 2 remaining infantry at 4s, and he got 1 hit. So let's take off his infantry, and I'm going to take off a self-propelled artillery. He now has his fighter at a 6, and he got a 2, so he got another hit. So I'm going to lose another self-propelled artillery. We now have our 7 medium armor, and we got 4 hits, so we're good to go. So he gets to fire his 1 fighter in return, and he misses on an 11. So the fighter is dead. So now Aquitaine is German, and that's worth another $1. So we're up to $8 for Germany. Let me double check. I just want to make sure. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think we're at 9, because West Poland's $1, Warsaw's $1. That's 2, 4, 6. 2 for the Netherlands, 2 for Belgium. That's 6. 1 for Picardy, 7. 1 for Normandy, 1 for so it's 9. We're up to $9 in territory for Germany. So left in Aquitaine is the 7 medium armor. Okay. 7 medium armor and 3 self-propelled artillery is left in Aquitaine. So now we are on to the second attack force for Blitz. So in Picardy, there were still 2 self-propelled artillery and 5 medium armor. So we're going to go ahead, and again, I'll put a unit down to represent this, but 1 self-propelled artillery is going to stay in Picardy. So the 5 medium armor are going to move into Alsace-Lorraine from Picardy. So that's 5 medium armor and 1 self-propelled artillery, along with the 4 cavalry in Belgium, Belgium can reach. 1 move to Picardy, 2 to Alsace-Lorraine. So 4 cavalry, and they will all attack at a 3. In Alsace-Lorraine, Fighting Irish has a militia, a French Foreign Legion, and a motorized. So let's go ahead and put the motorized down at a 4. The French Foreign Legion, I'm not sure if he defends at a 4 or 5, but I would rather err on the side for my opponent. So I'm going to put him down as a 5, and the militia is a 2. Now, the Maginot Line is in Alsace-Lorraine, but since I'm not coming from Bavaria, I'm coming from Picardy, that negates the defense bonus for Alsace-Lorraine. So I have 1 artillery first strike at a 3, and I got a 5, so he missed. And then I have 5 medium armor, so it's 6 or less. And we get 1 hit over here at a 6. So he's got 1 hit. And then I get 4 cavalry at a 3 or less. And we get 2 hits. So 3 altogether, and that's enough to kill off the Alsace-Lorraine. So let's go ahead and roll for his militia at a 2 or less. A 6, doesn't hit. His motorized at a 4 or less. A 6 does not hit. And his French Foreign Legion at a 5 or less. 3 does hit. So I'm going to go ahead and lose 1 of the cavalry. Take off his units. And then the 3 remaining cavalry have to stay in Alsace-Lorraine. And then blitzing into southern France is going to be my 5 medium armor and my 1 self-propelled artillery. So in southern France, he has a militia, an infantry, and an AA. Now, the AA cannot engage in combat because there's no fighters or no planes being brought, but he can take it as a casualty. So the militia at a 2, the infantry at a 4. So let's go ahead and roll for the first let's do my first strike artillery, 3 or less, and a 12 misses. So now I get 5 rolls at a 6 or less for my medium armor. So 5 rolls, so 2, 3, 4 hits. He only has 3 units, so all 3 are destroyed. So the militia first fires back at a 2 or less. Now that was tilted, so let's do that again. And gets a 4, so that doesn't hit. And then his infantry is a 4 or less. 11 does not hit. So that finishes off Southern France. Let's take all 3 of those off into the dead pile. And then in Southern France is going to be 5 medium armor and 1 self-propelled artillery. And again, I forgot to move up Germany's income on the die. So Alsace-Lorraine is worth 3 and Southern France is $1. So that's up to 13 for Germany. So there you go. $13 in territory. They have gone up. And now Paris is surrounded. There is a self-propelled in Picardy, a self-propelled in Normandy, 7 medium armor, and I believe 3 self-propelled artillery in Aquitaine, 5 medium armor and a self-propelled in Southern France, and 3 cavalry in Alsace-Lorraine. So France will now surrender. So we take off everything in Paris, and Paris is worth $3. So now Germany goes up another 3. So they're up to $16 in territory this turn. Plus, I believe Fighting Irish said the French had $16 in the bank. So Germany collects all that. When France is defeated, instead of the money being surrendered to the bank, the conquering power takes that money. So that's $16 for Germany. Now let's land our planes. So we are going to take our 2 fighters and our tactical from the Netherlands and send them back to Berlin. We are also going to send the fighter from Warsaw back to Berlin. It went 1, 2, 3. Actually, I don't think it can reach because it went 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. Is there an air base? No. So it actually can't reach. So it's going to fly. It went 1, 2 into Warsaw. It's going to go down to 1, 2 down to Bohemia. So it's going to go into Bohemia instead. So 2 fighters and a tactical went back to Berlin. A fighter went to Bohemia. So now that covers all of the German movements. One other thing I forgot to mention at the purchase portion of the turn, Germany does get 1 free infantry for winning in Spain. So I'll take that. So now for the unit placement, the 1 infantry from Spain has to go into Berlin. Okay. Then we are going to take our 2 Fallschirmjäger and our air transport and put them in Berlin as well. So now in Berlin is 2 infantry, 3 paratroopers, 2 air transports, 2 fighters, and a tactical. Okay. And then finally, the 3 cavalry we bought are going to be placed in Bohemia in that medium factory. So put these 3 down. I know this looks messy. Like I said, I'll clean it all up at the end of the turn. So that should be everything. Now I just got to do the Vichy rolls. So I'm going to end this portion of the video now because I'm running out of space here. So I'll be right back and we'll go ahead and do the Vichy rolls. Okay, Panzer J is back here, and we're going to go ahead and do our Vichy rolls, and we got to do that for all the ships and the remaining French territories. So in France itself, because I created the Vichy government, I had to move all the German ground units that were in southern France to an adjacent occupied territory and replace them with the 3 infantry, 1 artillery, and 1 fighter, and the Vichy roundel. So I went ahead and moved the 5 medium armor and the 1 self-propelled artillery into Paris. And also I put the Vichy roundel on Corsica. So before I do the rolls, I just wanted to go ahead and cover what Germany had at the end of the combat turn here. So in Sea Zone number 3, we have a coastal defense ship, 2 torpedo boat destroyers, a transport, a coastal sub, a light cruiser, and a destroyer. 2 subs are in Sea Zone 22. In Warsaw, we have 2 towed artillery, a minor factory, a mountain infantry, and I believe 6 regular infantry. In Bohemia, in the medium factory, we have a fighter and 3 cavalry. In Berlin, we have 3 paratroopers, 2 regular infantry, 2 air transport, 2 fighters, an AA, a tactical, and a major factory. In the Netherlands, we have a towed artillery and 3 light armor. In Alsace-Lorraine, we have 3 cavalry. In Picardy and Normandy is 1 self-propelled artillery each. In Aquitaine is 7 medium armor, 3 self-propelled artillery. And Rommel actually is there leading the charge. And then in Paris now is a minor factory, 5 medium armor, and a self-propelled artillery. So that should cover everything that is German and all the territories that have German units here at the end of the turn. And again, the Germans went up $16 total, plus the 16 they got off of the French. So let's go ahead real quick and move that the Germans up 16. So they go from 24 to 40. Okay. Now I know the British did go down 2 for the Netherlands. So they're down to 26. The French offhand, I'm not sure where they're at territory-wise. I guess we got to wait and see once we do the Vichy rolls. So as of now, that should be accurate. And then also don't forget Germany took the $16 off of the French here that the French had in the bank. So I'm going to go ahead and take $16 right now for the fall of Paris. So that's German money right now. Okay. So let's now go ahead and do our Vichy rolls, and then we'll see where we're at the complete conclusion of this turn. So let's real quick go ahead and go over the Vichy rolls. So it's on a 12-sided die. Okay. For each French colony, all land zones marked with a French roundel on the map that are not part of French home country roll a d12. On a 1 through 6, it becomes Vichy. On a 7 through 12, it's Free French. And they've gone ahead and grouped several land zones together to make things easier. And anything that goes Vichy is German money. So, and where does that say that over here? Germany receives income from all Vichy land zones. So they already have collected, I've already marked them up, the $3 for southern France. So let's go ahead and start the rolls here. So we are going to start with, we'll go with the first one. Anna Tonkin, Cochin China, Gambier Islands, and New Caledonia. And it says that all of these go, if they go Vichy, are Japanese possessed, regardless of the war status of Japan. So for this first one, if it goes Vichy, Japan gets these territories. Okay. So let's go ahead and roll for which Anna Tonkin and Cochin China are there on the Asian mainland, and New Caledonia and Gambier islands are over here in the South Pacific. So again, 1 through 6, it's Vichy, but in this case it'll be Japanese. 7 through 12, Free French. So we get an 11. So all of those go Free French. So the Japanese, who are already in some trouble to begin with, will not get that income. Not that they would have kept those 2 territories in Southeast Asia anyways, but okay, so we'll go ahead and put Free French roundels on those 4 territories. The 2 here in the South Pacific as well. So those 4 are Free French. So now let's move on to our next cluster of territories are French Somaliland, Madagascar, and Reunion. So Madagascar is over here. Reunion is this small island, and then French Somaliland is up here. So again, 1 through 6, and now these will be German, or 7 through 11 Free French. So we got a 6. So those went German. So go ahead and place a Vichy roundel on those 3 territories, but only 1 is worth anything, Madagascar. So Germany goes up $1 for, so again, let's mark this with a 12-sided die to show where we're at money-wise, increase for Germans. Okay, then we're going to French Guiana and St. Pierre Island is the next group, and those should be over here. French Guiana is down here in South America, and St. Pierre Island is up here just south of Newfoundland. So 1 through 6 will be Vichy/German. 7 through 12 will be Free French, and neither of these territories are worth any money. So let's go ahead, roll for that. We got a 6. So they go Vichy again. So 2 German territories that aren't worth anything. Okay, so those 2. Now our next group is D, Northern, Western, and Southern Algeria. And they're over here in North Africa. Northern, Western, and Southern. So there's a buck total that's on the board here. So let's go ahead and roll over here since we're on this side of the map now. 1 through 6 German Vichy. And we get an 8. So those go all Free French. And of course, I didn't grab enough markers. So let's go ahead and mark those down as Free French. So that's another $1 for the French. So I believe let's do a die roll for them as well. Or a die. So this is going to be the Free French up here. So I believe they're at $3 because the 2 territories in Southeast Asia, let's double check, worth $1. Worth $1. Okay, so they're at $3 right now for the Free French. Our next group of territories is, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, French Guinea, French Sudan, and Ivory Coast. So that should be these 4 territories right here. Again, not worth any money, but possible landing zones for planes or whatnot. So 1 through 6 French or Vichy/German, and a 12. So all Free French. So they're getting some pretty good rolls here. Okay, our next group of territories is F, Dahomey, Niger, Chad, Cameroon, and something or other C. So 5 territories, and that should be all here in Central Africa, and they're worth $1 total. So $1 is on the line here for Germany. And we get a 9, so again, Free French. So let's mark all these. So that is another $1. That's a Vichy roundel. So that is another $1 for the French. So they're up to 4. So they definitely are winning this territory battle. Okay, so now let's look over the board and what French territories are left that aren't covered there. We've got Morocco for $1, Tunisia for $1, and Syria for $1. So I think that is it. Nothing in the South Pacific. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that's everything. So let's go ahead and do Morocco first for $1 and a 1. So that goes Vichy. So that is $1 for Germany. So that's up to 2. Then let's go ahead and do Tunisia for $1 and a 4. So that's another Vichy territory, which in essence is German. So that's another $1. That's 3. And then finally Syria and a 1. So again, that one went German. I don't have the roundel. Let me grab it real quick. So that's worth another $1. So now 4 to 4. So that broke down pretty good. They each side got $4. Overall, the Free French got more territory, but it was an even split for money. So now let's move on to the ships. So the Vichy Navy. So let's take a look and see what this says. For each French naval unit on the board, roll a d12. So 1 through 3, it joins the Allies and the unit becomes Free French. 4 through 6, it's scuttled and removed from the game. 7 through 10, it's Vichy and is moved to Sea Zone 49, which is the sea zone right outside of southern France. 11 or 12, it joins the Axis, replaced with a German equivalent, or if the unit is in the Pacific or Indian Ocean, replace it with a Japanese equivalent. Okay? And then the Axis player can decide to let ships sail to their home country under the French flag. Thus, they can pass any ships belonging to a nation they are at war with once per game or immediately. So we're going to go ahead and hopefully it's not an issue and the Germans can sail their ships to the nearest port. Okay? So let's take a look in the Pacific. There are actually 2 ships in the Pacific, 2 submarines. So we're going to roll for those. So this first submarine is in Sea Zone 38. So let's roll for that. And we get a 2. So the 2, how wonderful for us. Join the Allies, unit becomes Free French. So that stays where it's at, I would assume. I don't think that they have to go to the nearest port. It doesn't. I believe they can stay where they're at. So if that's the case, then Japan's already getting screwed because now there's a sub that can convoy. Okay, so now let's take a look here in 56 and roll for that sub. And we got a 1. So both of those submarines went Free French. So let's leave those there. If you guys think they have to move to the nearest Allied port, then we can always move them later. But for now, we'll leave them where they're at. Okay, so now on to the ships in the Mediterranean. So we're going to go ahead with this transport first in 49. Okay. And so that went Free French as well. Then we're going to try this torpedo boat destroyer in 80. And a 6. And a 6 is scuttled, removed from the game. So we'll take that off. Then we've got I believe that a heavy cruiser. It's definitely a cruiser. I believe it's a heavy cruiser. And that's an 80. And that's another 6. So again, scuttled. Now we'll go over here to Sea Zone 81. First, we got a submarine there. A 12, so that goes German. So remember to replace that with a German sub. Then we've got a destroyer. and a 10, and that becomes Vichy. So remember to replace the destroyer with a Vichy. And then we got a big one, a battleship here. So let's get some luck for the Axis. And a 6, it's scuttled, so doesn't help either side. Okay. So then up here in C Zone 53, first we've got a destroyer. So let's roll for that. And a 4 through 6 scuttled. So that's off the map. Then we've got a transport in 53. A 1, so that stays Free French. And then we've got the battleship in 53, another big one. Come on, 11 or 12. And that stays Free French. So, wow. Okay, so the last two ships on the board, we have got a destroyer and a submarine up there in the English Channel. So let's go ahead and roll for the submarine first. And a 7. And that becomes Vichy. So I am just going to move it down here so that I know it's Vichy with this destroyer down here. And the last one is a destroyer in the English Channel. A 10, I'm pretty sure that is Vichy. So a destroyer, another destroyer. So that, I believe, is everything for the ships, for the territories, everything. So I'm not sure, again, what to do with the Free French ships. I don't really think a destroyer, this transport would want to just be sitting here by itself. So I'm just going to wait for the comments before I move the Free French ships. So to finish up here, the Germans got a submarine, and we're going to take that and send that to the nearest port for Germany, which is going to be in Vichy. Okay, so we're going to send that to Vichy. So that is a German sub, which I'll trade out. Then we've got 2 destroyers and a submarine, which stayed Vichy. They have to go in C Zone 49 as well. Okay, so in C Zone 49, we're going to have 2 Vichy destroyers, a Vichy sub, and a German sub. And that should be it, unless, again, the Free French ships have to move. So from those rolls, Free French is at $4. Germany went up another $4. So let's go over here to our production chart. $4 up for Germany to 44. 4 total for Free France. And that should be the end of the turn. So Germany is sitting at $44 plus the $16 they took off of the French for taking Paris. So that's $60. And now that they're at war with a major power, let's take a look at our bonuses real quick. Okay, so once at war with a major power, $3 for Sweden being neutral or German possessed, which it is. Germany possesses Trøndelag, which is in Norway, so no. Germany possesses Romania, no. Germany possesses Iraq, Transcaucasia, or southern Iran, no to all 3 of those. And Molotov-Ribbentrop is not in effect, so they only get 3 for their bonuses. So Germany should have $63 to spend on the next turn, and they saved $1. So $64 total for Germany. So that should end the turn. Hopefully, keeping my fingers crossed, I didn't make any mistakes at all, or if I did, very minor. Again, let me know, guys, what you think has to be done with the Free French ships. And that should conclude Germany 8.1. I will turn things over to Global War 36 enthusiast and Common Turn 8.2. See you guys at Japan 8.3.